Hello, welcome back. Agandugwe here, and I'm delighted to have you in today's video. We'll be considering how to present your final year project results. Now, you've undertaken your study, you've gone to the lab to get readings, you have results, you have raw data. Now it's time to present and discuss the same. So, chapter 4 of the final year project is usually tagged results and discussion. Results and discussion. So, what that means is that your results shall be presented under that section, chapter 4. Now, depending on the format of presentation, you can consult your university administration to inquire of the method of presenting your results, the format of presenting your results. Some schools may have you present your results first before discussion. But what I'm going to talk about is the presentation of results and at the same time discussing. They have to appear alongside each other. So you present your results and discuss same. For example, let's assume that you undertook your study on composites. You used reinforcing materials and you characterized such fillers. Now, discussing your result should be synonymous with what you have as your specific objectives. So, if you have specific objective number one, it means that you will start the discussion with the results that you were able to get relevant to the objective number one. So, let's take for instance that you worked on composites. You blended two or three materials together to get a product which we call a composite. For you to discuss your results effectively, you must have to do that in tandem with what you have as your objectives of study. So assuming you have four objectives, for instance, and you worked on composites, and your objective number one is to characterize your filler material. Your objective number two is to study the effect of the weight percentage of the filler that you're adding to whatever matrix that you're using. So the third objective is to study the morphology of your produced composites, and finally the water assumption test. So if you have these four objectives for your final year project, the method of discussion of results will be as follows. Your section 4.1 should be characterization of filler because it is the number one that appeared on the objective, on the list of specific objectives. So under this section, you could now talk about the characterization results that you were able to obtain while studying your filler sample. So your 4.1 should be characterization of filler. 4.11 will now be the test results. Take for instance, under characterization of your filler, you were able to study to know the functional groups present in your filler sample. So you did FTIR test and you also conducted the TGA test and DTA test. So your method of presentation should be 4.1, which is characterization of filler sample. So 4.11 should be FTIR result. And under the FTIR result, you start by presenting the result. The FTIR result of the filler sample, you mentioned the filler sample you use for the research. The FTIR result of the filler sample used for the current study is shown in figure 4.1. Then you continue with what you observed conducting your FTIR result. So you know the FTIR result has to do with different wave numbers associated with spectra across the samples. The essence of the FTIR test is to understand the functional groups that are present in your current sample. Basically, there is an FTIR table which is available online. You can type FTIR table and download the FTIR information data with which you could use to compare your FTIR result. So you don't need any other information aside from the FTIR table to compare with your own result. The FTIR table has ideal information about what functional groups are associated with different spectra. So with your own FTIR result, you study the spectrum and understand the nature of such. If at this wavelength you have sharp spectrum, broad spectrum, or weak spectrum. So your own is to observe the nature of the spectra that appeared in your results and compare the outcome with what the ideal information is stating. So if at the particular wave number you have a sharp spectra and in the FTIR table you can match that with a particular functional group, that means that may likely be present in your own sample. You include that in your result. That at this wave number, this nature of bonding was found to exist. So the additional work you may have to do is to consult literature to know what particular compound that could be identified with such a functional group. So with that, you have information about the functional group that is present in your own current filler. So do that for all spectra and match with the FTIR table to know the functional groups that are present in your filler. So that is 4.11. Then if you also did TGA test, your 4.12 should be TGA result, where you have to plot the graph. If you were given the raw data, just pick, highlight, and copy the raw data into Excel file, or you can use Origin to plot your graph. Get a good graph and label accordingly. Then label the graph 4.2. So under TGA result, you have to present the result first. Then you go further to talk about the TGA result, what you observed regarding the decomposition of the filler sample that was heated. You know, the TGA outcome will tell you the loss of weight of your sample as it's being heated from 0 to the temperature as recorded in your result. So you tell us how the weights were gradually decreasing as the temperature was increased. So you may need to consult literature to know what actually takes place at different temperatures, whether it is dehydration, decomposition, and the rest of that, and also cite the source of the information. Now, after presenting your result, just like you did for FTIR, you also need to consult literature, those that have worked on your sample, your filler sample, and know what they were able to get and be able to compare your results. The essence of research is to compare your result with what previous people have done and to know why your own varied or disagreed with their own. So if after comparing the results, you discovered that there was an agreement or disagreement, you should be able to state why. So do that for TGA as well as FTIR by looking at what other people had done similar to that analysis and compare your result with theirs. So your subsection 4.13 should be DTA if you did DTA test on your filler sample. So you write 4.13 DTA result. So in your discussion, you present the result first, then you discuss what transpired in your own result, in your own current study on the filler. You tell us what actually was observed. Then the next thing is to compare your outcome with previous studies relevant to the same test that you conducted. So that is how to present that for characterization. Then the 4.2 should be tied to your second objective. So your 4.2 should be the effect of weight percentage of filler on the mechanical properties of your composite. So that should be the heading of your 4.2. Then under that, you may have plotted your graphs for different mechanical tests that you conducted. Assuming you conducted hardness test, impact test, flexural test, compression test, and name that. You have those plots. If it is for hardness, you can plot hardness along the vertical axis and weight percentage of the filler at the horizontal axis. So with that graph, you have information about what actually transpired when you varied the weight percentage of your filler. Whether there was an optimum weight percentage that gave the highest hardness or impact strength or tensile strength, flexural strength, as the case may be. Whether the addition of the filler went through this way or went up and gradually dropped. So whatever it is, plot the graphs, have the graphs handy, and label as appropriate. You do that for all other tests that you conducted. Plot the graphs, label accordingly, and have those graphs handy. Now it is time to present the results. You take that one after the other. Under 4.2, you take 4.21, which is the effect of the addition of filler composition on the hardness of the examined composite. That should be your 4.21. Then you present your hardness result as you were earlier told. After presenting the result, you have your graph. Then you talk about the hardness, the trend that you observed with the result. After that, you discuss your result by comparing what other people got relating to conducting hardness on the similar composite. Remember, the composite that you produced, you have the matrix and also the reinforcing material, which is the filler. So look out for what previous people may have done similar to what you did. Note their results. Mind you, the results must have been captured under literature review. There is a section in chapter 2 where you review previous work relevant to your current study. So you must have gone through all those published papers, the outcome of different scholars' work relevant to your current study. You must have gone through the work and incorporated that in your chapter 2. Now you are comparing their outcome with your own. So that is the beauty of discussion in presenting your final year project. So after doing that for hardness, have 4.22 for compression if you did compression, have 4.23 for flexural if you did that, or for other mechanical tests that you conducted, and discuss accordingly. Present your result first, then discuss the result by comparing your outcome with other people got relevant to your own study, and also give us reasons why your own was not in agreement. That is, your own results were not in agreement with other people's results. Tell us what you think may have been the cause for the disparity. So that is for 4.2. Then you go to 4.3, look at your specific objective number 3. In 4.3, you state that the result, that is the morphology test that you conducted, the same. You do the same presentation of the same images. Now, you look at those images in your discussion. So it doesn't really come as a result that you have values. It comes as an image. So you look at the image, you look at the same results, and look at the distribution of the filler sample within the matrix. So look carefully how the filler material was spread within the matrix and present your result as such. If you observed even distribution of the filler material within the matrix, you state that. Then you look back at the mechanical properties that were obtained, whether the even distribution of the filler influenced the mechanical properties. You may have a particular filler composition that had even distribution of the filler, giving optimal result. So if you have such, why not give the reason? Why not appreciate the distribution as the cause for the high strength obtained or high hardness obtained? So look at that, see whether it was distributed uniformly or in a directional manner. So such should help you understand what actually happened and the effect on the mechanical properties. So whether they were clustering of the filler samples within the matrix, evenly distributed, or in other way, describe how the filler sample was distributed within the matrix. Then compare your outcome with other previous work, depending on the method that you use for your own test regarding the production of your composite. So different production techniques may have different associated outcomes regarding the morphology of the sample. So if you use extrusion method to produce your composites, compare the outcome with what previous people had done using extrusion method to produce the same composite that you use in your study. So if others used maybe compression molding technique, look at your own, right? They use the same samples that you use in your study, but the difference was the method of production of the composites. So compare your results. Know why your own differed with theirs regarding the distribution of the filler samples. And compare your results. That is the key. That is what makes discussion to be acceptable when you compare results, your own results with other people's outcomes. It brings out the beauty. It brings out the beauty of the work. So after doing that for SEM, do that for the last objective that you indicated. Whether it is water absorption test that you conducted or something, whatever it is, talk about it, present it, discuss it, then conclude your work. So in order not to make this video so long, we'll look at the next session in the next video.